My name is Amir Abbas Fakhravar. Also, my nickname is Siavash. And today is August 2nd, 2018. Normally, when I'm live, I'm talking like this in this scene, which is very popular in our community, Persian community, inside and outside of Iran. I'm speaking Farsi, but this time is different because I want to talk with Americans and with the English speaking audience. And I can see many of my Farsi speaking audience, they are coming and maybe they will be a little surprised because they have been waiting to hear from me in Farsi, but right now they are saying I'm speaking in English. Let me just say a few words in Farsi to them and then I will come back and speak with you in English. دوستان و همراهان عزیز، امروز به خاطر مجموعه اتفاقاتی که افتاده و به خاطر اعتراضات شجاعانه‌ای که در داخل ایران شاهد هستیم در شهرهای مختلف، من یک کمی صحبت با آمریکایی ها دارم، با انگلیسی زبان ها و بر همین لایو امروز به زبان انگلیسی خواهد بود. من زود برگردم تا حوصله‌شون سر نرفته از زبان فارسی، چون هیچی از زبان فارسی متوجه نخواهند شد و امیدوارم که زبان انگلیسی من البته متوجه بشن، اما لازمه که این صحبت رو باشون بکنیم. خیلی ها باید بدونن چه اتفاقاتی داره میفته تو ایران و متاسفانه نمیتونن متوجه بشن. Okay, let me say why I'm doing this. First of all, let me introduce myself to you because my Farsi speaking audience, they know me. Maybe they know me well, maybe more than enough because it's a lot of stories about me and a lot of rumors, a lot of attacks by the regime supporters, by those people who don't like. But to make a long story short, I'm an author. Before then, when I was in Iran, I was a political activist. I was a student activist and a student leader. I have been arrested 19 times in Iran by the mullahs regime. And I spent more than 5 years in jail and 236 days in solitary confinement under torture. They broke a lot of bones in my body. And I faced a lot of tortures by the regime because of my student activities and because of my writings. And then when I was in jail, I got the honorary membership of PEN Canada and English PEN. And the international PEN named the November 15, 2004, if I'm not mistaken. I was still in jail in solitary confinement under torture when they named that day to recognize all my writings until then. And I got a couple of international awards for my writings, and which I'm really proud of. And then after 14 years I started going to jail by the regime when I was 16. And then I went to medical school and then law school, and then I went to Evin prison, to Qas prison, to several prisons all over Iranian country. And then 12 years ago, with the help of some of my powerful friends in Washington, D.C., I escaped the country, I escaped the Evin prison and escaped the country and came to Washington, D.C. and started my journey in Washington, D.C. to just send the message of Iranian new generation to the policymakers in Washington, D.C., which was not easy to pass this message because it was crowded by regime lobbyists at that time. And a lot of people who could come to United States with the help of regime secretly, and then they could find their place in different universities inside United States, and they became a giant network to support the regime and Islamic Republic of Iran's ideology inside United States. That was the reason when I started talking in 2006, when I arrived here, I couldn't speak English. Maybe right now when time to time you will see me doing mumbo jumbo to find some words. It's the reason when I came here, I couldn't speak English. I couldn't order McDonald's for myself. And I supposed to call my friend and ask him to please to please just order a McDonald's for me. And it was not easy. Then I learned how to speak English, and since 2010, I started teaching. First in Institute of World Politics in Washington, D.C., and then Texas State Universities, and you won't believe, I have been teaching constitutional law here too. And the Interpol constitutional law, political crimes, and many other um, related courses. But today I'm here talking with you because of the thing is happening in Iran. For last 4 days, uh, millions of people they are out in the street again. Why I'm saying again? Because this movement, the new phase of um, revolution within the revolution inside Iran, was started December 2017, when our organization, National Iranian Congress, we decided to invite people to come to street, and because of the economic hardship, we asked them to just do protest against the regime, and we asked them to go and do protest uh, as close as possible to Supreme Leader's palace in the heart of Tehran, the capital city of Iran. And then it happened. We couldn't believe it. Then in Mashhad, the another giant city in Iran, the people they came out in support of Tehran, and then we have seen it in Kermanshah, and then Shiraz, and then Isfahan, Yazd, Ahvaz, Tabriz, all over the country. It was December 2017, a couple of months ago, when we had in more than 100 cities inside Iran, millions of people chanting death to dictator, death to Khamenei, and they tried to send their message to the world that the Iranian people, they don't like the Islamic Republic of Iran too. The Iranian people, they are against this regime too. The, when we are saying they don't like the regime, it doesn't mean they don't like the hardliners. Even it was part of the chant, very famous chant in the protest, which the people they said, the reformists and the hardliners. It's the end of story for both of you, which in Farsi is very nicely written. It's called اصلاح طلب اصولگرا دیگه تموم ماجرا. And then Nikki Haley, very brave UN ambassador, United States ambassador at the UN. Nikki Haley became kind of the unofficial spokesperson of that movement. And she had a press conference, and then she mentioned all the chants and these different protests all over Iran. And then I had the honor to go to some very famous TV shows, and maybe some of you remember when it was on Sean Hannity's show with John Bolton, Ambassador John Bolton, which right now he is the National Security Advisor of President Trump. And then we tried, my team and I, and other friends who have been involved in this movement, we tried to just pass the message of Iranian people who have been fighting in the street with the regime. And, but it's not easy. This week, the new phase of this protest started again. And for last 4 days, as I told you, millions of people there in the street chanting death to dictator, death to Khamenei, and they are saying the mullahs must go. It's the most famous chant during last 4 days all over Iran. But okay, it's if you look at the Iranian medias, the not state-owned media, because Iranian state-owned media, they are totally ignoring these protests. I'm talking about the Persian medias in opposition outside of Iran. You will see a lot of news about these protests. But what about the medias who's supposed to send people's message to the current administration? President Trump and his team, they have been very helpful to understand the message of Iranian people and to help the Iranian freedom fighters and who are trying peacefully to show their disagreement with the Iranian government in the street. And President Trump, in different messages, several times mentioned how he sees the Iranian regime as the small group of fanatic mullahs who hijacked Iran and they are torturing Iranian people and killing them, jailing them. But several times President Trump and Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, which I really like him and I'm proud of him, they mentioned that this government, the Iranian people, they don't deserve to have this government, Islamic government in power in Iran. And they are very right. The Iranian people, we deserve a lot better than this. We deserve to have our own democratic government. We deserve to be free. But what's the problems? We are facing some obstacles. The main reason I'm here talking to you in English is we have our own channel to speak with the high-ranking officials at the administration, the president's advisor and to secretaries' advisors. But this time I decided to talk with the American taxpayers to see if you are happy with the things happening behind the scene in Washington, D.C., which you can't see. Let's go. To introducing myself, let me just end it with this two very interesting things which I have done. This book called Comrade Ayatollah. I wrote this book, I finished it 2 years ago. It was published then. And it's about the Soviet KGB's role in the Islamic Revolution and the rise of Ali Khamenei to power in Iran. It's exactly the title of the book, Comrade Ayatollah. It's still in Farsi. It is illegal to have this book in Iran, but it was sold more than 3 million copies in underground, in the black market of books in Iran, which is unbelievable. And one of the reasons, since last year, you see the people, they can understand the nature of Iranian regime and the mullahs. I can have a little more than other maybe opposition leaders credit to my book because of that, because it helped the people, it helped to educate the people about the nature of Iranian regime, the Soviet-backed regime and Soviet-backed revolution. Then the latest job I have done, which I have been working on it for the Comrade Ayatollah, I worked 4 years non-stop. And then the latest one was this small book called the Proposed Draft Constitution of Iran, which my team and we worked for 2 decades to prepare this one. Comrade Ayatollah was about the past, was about the history of Iran and how the Russians, they destroyed our country. And then this one, the proposed draft constitution, is about the future. It's our roadmap. It's the place we want to go. And I'm honestly, I'm really proud of both of these. And it's not just me; millions of people I guess they love both of it, specifically the Comrade Ayatollah. But anyway, it's enough of me. Let's go to the story. Lately, 2 weeks ago, we heard Secretary Pompeo is going to Los Angeles to have a meeting and direct talk with the Iranians in diaspora, Iranian oppositions. That was the first time in history, and we have been happy to hear that yeah, finally, high-ranking American officials they are going there to talk with the people of Iran. Not this time negotiating around the table with these fanatic mullahs. This time they're going to talk with the people. And but it was a lot of controversies behind the scene, which uh, let me guide you to the place that the controversy is coming. Just pause it this part of story and let's come to today and go and look at the State Department's official Farsi uh, channel. I brought it up for you on Instagram, and you will see it here. It's called USA Dar Farsi. You can just go on Instagram and just type USA Dar Farsi and look at this. You will see the seal of Virtual Embassy Tehran, which is interesting and crazy. It was one of the ideas of Obama's team. Let's say regime's lobbyists in Washington, D.C., who have been helping President Obama to just find a way to make some type of peace between the regime of Iran and the United States. Little by the way, this program, my program in Farsi, it's famous because we are not doing any type of editing. It's live. I'm talking to the new generation, mostly inside Iran, and they love it. They love it when they can see it's real. It's real life, and it's not any type of edit, any type of entertainment in it. Just we are talking about the reality of our life and our fight with the regime. But let's come here. I told you for last 4 days we have protests all over the country. And what was the job of this page? It's supposed to tell us and tell the administration and tell the Iranian people that, look, we know what you are doing, and the people of Iran they should be aware that at the State Department some people they are there, they are monitoring everything. But this is August 2nd, 2018. And do we have any news about the protests in Iran? They just posted during last 3 days, they posted these three news, which they thought it's the newsworthy. But it's not at all about Iranian protest. 4 days of deadly protests all over Iran in the giant cities like Isfahan, like Tehran, like Mashhad, Karaj, Shiraz, and nothing here? How it's possible? Why? Maybe the regime didn't let the people to send the videos out. And Virtual Embassy has 40,000 followers on its page, which they have been covering some news. For example, when the French company didn't want to work with Iran anymore, they have the news there when A dancer and singer in Iran was arrested. They had her here, and it's yeah. When it's the shortage of water, they have the news. But this time about these giant protests, they decided to not post anything about the protest. What is happening here? What's wrong? Let's see if it's any protest at all. This is my page on Instagram, Amir dot Fakhravar, and I have more than 10 million weekly viewers, and on this page on Instagram, 125,000 very brave followers. But let's see what is happening all over the country. This chant is about how regime is sending all Iranian petrodollars, and all those money regime got from President Obama, they send it to the terrorists and they send it to Syria to support Bashar Assad, dictator, to stay in power. And then in Iran, the people are hungry. And this is just one of it. Okay, let's see. Oh, it's fire in giant cities in Iran. And let's say thank you to two very famous artists in Iran. They are kind of god and goddess singers in Iran, Siavash Qomeshi and Gugush, who decided to come out with the new song 40 years. And they are criticizing the regime for just torturing Iranian people for last 40 years. But this is the protest in Isfahan. You can see hundreds of thousands of people in street, and the people are writing chants on everything, on monies, on the walls, in streets, everywhere, and it's the hashtag the constitutional revolution in Iran, and they're talking about the revolution. Everybody are talking about the revolution, and this is a couple of hours ago in Tehran, the capital city of Iran, and this is today, just a couple of hours ago. How come we don't have any news on USA Farsi? It's supposed to be. Let's look at it. Let's see what was happening. This is this morning. It's in Isfahan. Hundreds of thousands of people, they are in the street, they are chanting. And what about this one? This is Ishtahar, another town in Iran. Everywhere in the small and big towns in Iran, we can see. This is all on my page, on my Instagram page. Maybe the people, my followers, they are frustrated because of all these videos, thousands of videos and photos. They're coming out, and State Department right now totally ignoring them. What is happening? Why they are doing that? And let's look at a couple more, and this is Shiraz. Hundreds of thousands of people. This is yesterday, last night. And this is the last night, late night. The people are chanting, "We don't want the Islamic Republic of Iran." They're exactly saying, literally saying, "We don't want the Islamic Republic of Iran." And this is Karaj. This is not a small protest. This is not in just one town. It's all over the country. Okay. And and this is when the regime security forces, they have been attacking people, and the people have been fighting back in all these cities. Okay, you can find all of these on my page, and just please, you're more than welcome to go and watch all these videos. And I have 3 times more than State Department's USA their Farsi follower on my page, just visible followers. And because the people they're afraid, I'm one of the opposition leaders, and the people inside Iran they're afraid to follow me because regime can see them. And but we have that many people, very brave people, who are taking risk with just following my page. They can be in huge trouble in Iran. But what it tells you, the people of Iran, they are ready. They are ready for regime change. Let's go back to the USA Dar Farsi again. Okay, who is running this page right now? This page is it's a guy called Kiarash Ahfad, who is running the page. And he has the full control. And him and another lady, let me show you her photo. This lady, Sherwin Hajilu, both of them, they are civil service officer at the State Department. And you, the taxpayers, you are paying their salaries. And what they are doing over there right now, she is kind of in charge of Iranian diaspora at the State Department. They have something called Iran Desk at the State Department, which President Obama thought it's cool when the regime of Iran, they have been arresting, torturing, killing of hundreds of thousands of Iranians inside Iran. And they have been arming the terrorists and funding them all over the world. And they have been following their very dangerous nuclear program to can have access to the atomic bomb, maybe then to go and wipe Israel from the map, as they said zillions of times. But with all these, President Obama decided to have an Iran desk at the State Department. And John Kerry was very proud of this Iran desk. And who have been working at the Iran desk? Kind of this girl, Sahar Norouzzadeh, she have been managing and directing Iran desk at the State Department. She was working at the State Department, then she moved to the White House, and she became, let me see if I can find that photo for you. Then she became the you can see it here. She became kind of the top advisor to President Obama. As you can see, this is President's office at the White House, and then this is Sahar Norouzzadeh. Sahar Norouzzadeh started, as we could track, in 2003 to draft the bulletins for a group called NIAC, National Iranian American Council, which this group showed that they are following regime's footsteps in Washington, D.C. And then kind of regime, just lately we heard that Javad Zarif, current foreign minister of Islamic Republic of Iran, Javad Zarif created this group it's a think tank in Washington, D.C., National Iranian American Council. And the job of this think tank was to just follow the orders kind of from inside Iran, from the regime, to make sure they can brainwash the policymakers in Washington, D.C. They have been very successful. And when it was a campaign of President Obama in 2008, 2007, 2008, the NIAC, they have been very effective in Iranian community to bring, we have a giant Iranian American community in United States, to bring their vote behind Obama. And then Obama became president and gave them a lot of benefits, this group, NIAC. And the president of NIAC could go to White House several times and to meet the president, the first lady, Ben Rhodes, and a lot of others, Valerie Jarrett, which these are familiar names for you. And then this girl, who have been drafting NIAC's bulletins, Sahar Norouzzadeh, became very close to President Obama, and she had the key role when Obama's team have been drafting the disastrous Iran nuclear deal. She was one of the key players to make sure Iranian regime will have as much as possible benefits from it. And then, as I showed you, she has a buddy called Shervin Hajilu. This is Sahar Norouzzadeh and this is Shervin Hajilu. Both of them have been working, one at the White House and one at the State Department in Obama's era. When President Trump became a president, then the Sahar Norouzzadeh's role was exposed on the media. And immediately the State Department and the White House, they removed him. First, they removed her from the White House and they sent her to the State Department. And then from State Department, they have seen, oh, it's too much controversy. And then they said, okay, just we'll give you some type of scholarship from our friends from Harvard. Just go there and let's just make it quiet. And then Shervin Hajilu decided to just have the ultimate power kind of at this Iran desk. Maybe some people they are saying no, we do have some Americans. They have the power over there. They have been nominated by the president. But the reality is, these two are the one who have the power. When okay, what's wrong with it? Let's see if they have been doing their job well. This is Shervin Hajilu, 2016. It's October and November 2016, when she have been campaigning with NIAC. It's NIAC Action, regime lobby group in Washington, D.C. And she have been campaigning with them, and she's a civil service officer at the State Department, campaigning for a candidate against another candidate. For who? For the Democrats' candidate against President Trump. And they have been working really hard because they hate President Trump. They hate the policy of President Trump and they hate the policy of Secretary Pompeo. But somehow these Trump haters could manage to stay in power at the State Department and still have the control there. This is just, this photo is illegal. It's supposed to be the civil service officers at the State Department, they're supposed to be neutral because they have their salary from taxpayers' money. They cannot just follow their own political ideology and political party they are part of against another party. This is illegal. But they somehow they could manage to stay there. And let me see some other photos of her. If you want to remember her, how she's looked like, Shervin Hajilu, who is kind of controlling the message which is coming out from State Department on Iran issues right now, which is very dangerous because she is too much connected to Noyak, to regime lobbyists in Washington, D.C. And we are calling these people Obama holdovers at the State Department. Okay, how they can be uh, effective then? Can be effective at all? Can they be effective at all? Yes, they can, sadly. Uh, the problem is when 2 weeks ago, Mike Pompeo wanted to go and speak with Iranians in diaspora, who was the director of diaspora at the State Department in Iran desk, Shervin Hajilu, who hates Trump and hates Mike Pompeo, and the policy, the new policy toward Iran to bring up sanctions again, the hard sanctions, oil and central bank sanctions against the regime to make sure it will be the collapse of economy and the regime will cave. We are supporting this policy, and even we have been campaigning for this policy for more than a decade to just don't let the regime have access to petrodollars. But these people, they are against this policy. They hate this policy. And she was in charge to invite the people to come to Secretary Pompeo's speech. First, she tried to don't let anybody go there and kind of boycott the program. And Noyak's position was that. First, they wanted to send their own people there. When they have seen it's impossible, and Secretary Pompeo wants to see the variety of opposition groups, kind of, then Nayak decided to boycott the entire event. Then they released the statements on their own websites. And then she was not happy. She said, I'm not going. And there was a fight behind the scene at the State Department between her and some others. And then Kiarash Ahfad, who is managing, as I showed you, the USAID Farsi, and they're their friend and colleague. And Kiarash Ahfad said, okay, I'm going there. It's okay. You don't need to come. And then I was there, but they didn't want me to be there and my team from National Iranian Congress to be there. But we have our own ways to be connected to the high-ranking officials in Washington, D.C. We were there, and they have been surprised to see me there, and they have been asking everybody who let Emir Fakhravar and his team to come in. How they could come in to this event. And then we had 700 to maybe 900 people in the room when Secretary Pompeo have been speaking. And some Iranians, they have been staying outside. It was very hot. The weather was hot. And then they have been outside. We had some empty chairs in the salon, but these people, they didn't let the, those opposition figures to come in. They wanted to control everything as much as they could. They didn't let anybody to ask questions directly from Secretary Pompeo. And then they didn't let Secretary Pompeo to talk with the people who have been in the room. There was we can say that from different opposition groups, we had people in the room. They have been dying to just speak for a couple of seconds with the Secretary Pompeo. But this team, the Iran desk team, let's say regime lobbyists, allies at the State Department, they didn't let Secretary Pompeo to meet the people. They picked and chose some figures to make sure Secretary Pompeo will speak with a couple of people over there. And then they paid for those Iranian Americans to go there and see the president, see the Secretary Pompeo. But who have been those people? Easily, I can tell you, 99%, that's 95%, they have been Trump haters, anti-Trump people. Those people who have been against, loudly against the policy of current administration on Iran issue, this team, Iran desk team, they picked those people, 10 to 15, to have them in a small room after Secretary Pompeo's speech, to make sure Secretary Pompeo will hear the message of these type of people, the Noyak supporters, which was against the administration's policy. They have been telling Secretary Pompeo, please don't sanction Iran. The people will suffer. This is exactly regime lobbyists' message. The people will suffer. Nothing will happen to the regime of Iran. And the Iran desk, let's call them traitors, they wanted to whisper the wrong message to Secretary Pompeo's ears when he was there to talk with the real Iranian oppositions in diaspora. Okay. Then what is wrong with it? I could see, I have seen some of the photos when Secretary Pompeo was talking to those people in the small room after his speech, and he was frustrated. He was saying, oh my God, look at these people. I'm trying to help them. I'm trying to help the Iranian people, and this policy will help them. But what these people are talking about? Why they can't get it? But Secretary Pompeo, let me tell you, you heard the message that Iranian regime wanted you to hear. It was not the real message of the Iranians in diaspora who have been attending in the room and waiting to can have a chance to talk to you. And these people, they didn't want you to hear. Definitely, the first thing should happen at the Iran desk, at the State Department, should be to clean up Iran desk. Maybe shut down the Iran desk. They don't need it. We don't need virtual embassy with the logo, virtual embassy Tehran. What does it mean? Embassy with which government? Islamic Republic of Iran? Who have been busy to arrest, torture, kill Iranians for last 40 years? And some of these people, the Nayak supporters, they're whispering to the ears of Secretary Pompeo and President Trump the word behavior change instead of regime change. Really? The word President Trump correctly used was regime change. And Secretary Pompeo many times used as regime change. But lately, because they are hearing a lot at the State Department from these type of people, the Obama holdovers, the behavior change, they are using behavior change a lot. But I have a point here. Yes, we can use the behavior change when we are facing a teenager who is doing something wrong, stealing something, shoplifting, or doing something crazy. Yeah, we can say he or she, this teenager, should change the behavior. But just think about it. You have a serial murderer, serial killer in your neighborhood. And then what you are doing when you're facing that person, that serial killer, You are going to negotiate with him or her and peacefully ask him, please don't kill me or my family. Are you going to do that? Are you going to ask him or her, please change your behavior? We know you killed a lot of people, but please don't do it again. Or you are calling the police. Or you are trying to protect yourself from that animal. When we are facing the regime of a small group of fanatic mullahs who have been very busy to kill hundreds of thousands of Iranians inside of Iran, and who they have been funding and arming terrorists all around the world, and the regime which its name is on the top of the list of state sponsor of terrorism at the State Department. Are you going to negotiate with this regime and ask the regime nicely, please change your behavior? We are not facing a teenager who have been doing something wrong. No, we are talking about the serial murderers. Please, Secretary Pompeo, don't use the word behavior change. Regime change is the correct one. This regime must go, as millions of Iranian people, they want international community's help. We want to change this regime and bring up the type of government which we, the Iranian, we deserve. Now, maybe you know better why in USA they're Farsi. We cannot hear any type of videos and news from last 4 days of protests. Because it's against their policy, the policy of those Obama holdovers, which they don't want to believe that they lost the election. And it's some consequences for it. You cannot just follow the ideology you have been following when you have been in power and still trying to just follow the same ideology. This ideology didn't work. Obama gave Iranian regime $150 billion and $1.8 billion in cash, and gave them 2,500 green cards for regime officials and their family members to come to United States and just have the privilege of enjoying the freedom and democracy in this country, when they are torturing Iranian people inside Iran. What happened? After giving the regime these many benefits, what happened? We have seen more attacks by the terrorists who have been supported by the regime, and the regime is funding them totally. We have seen the dictators like Hafez Assad killed hundreds of thousands of its own people with the help of Islamic regime of Iran. We have seen how Iranian regime, they destroyed the brand new democracy in Iraq and in Afghanistan and everywhere, and right now they are still secretly working on their nuclear bomb, maybe to just go and follow their mission to wipe Israel from the map and then find a way to just attack United States too. With this type of regime, you cannot think about behavior change. The best way is to talk with those who are carrying the message of millions of people who are in street right now. Right now, exactly when I'm talking to you, our brave Iranian friends, they are fighting with the regime with nothing in their hand. And they don't have any support. But just they heard the message from the new administration in the United States that they thought, okay, this is the thing we needed. When we have been chanting in 2009 in street, Obama, Obama, are you with them or with us? We just wanted to hear the international community, and specifically the United States government, is supporting the protests in Iran. Because the Iranian people, they want to be friends with Americans again. We want to come out of isolation. And after changing the regime, then we can come back to the civilized society of the world and be a good member and good neighbor just in the international community. That's the ultimate things we, the Iranian, we wanted. Please help us, help our people inside Iran in the street. I do have access to high-ranking officials to talk with them, but those people, they don't have access. Let's clean up first Iran desk at the State Department. My suggestion is to shut down Iran desk. And maybe our people, our members at the National Iranian Congress, we will create the hashtag shutdown Iran desk. Then to send the message to make sure these allies of regime lobbyists, they cannot control the policy of the State Department toward Iran anymore. That it's a big steps. Then we can see some videos of the real Iranian freedom seekers officially on State Department's website. Normally when I'm talking with our Farsi speaking audience, the talk goes for 2 hours, 3 hours, but I know through speaking with the American audience, more than 5 minutes is too much. But it was the first experience. I'm trying to make it as short as possible for the next experience. But if hopefully this will work and we will have some supports from American taxpayers. We need your support to just ask the State Department, specifically Secretary of State, to clean up or better shut down Iran desk. Please help us. And let's see what will happen next. We are very close to the new revolution in Iran, which will make Iran friend and ally again with the United States and with the free world. Please help us. Thank you.